I'm from Oklahoma. We are the buckle on the Bible Belt, and I deal with a lot of students on a regular basis in my introductory courses about students who show resistance to teaching and accepting evolution. Then there is this constant reminder to both the teachers and the students. My students know that there's going to be a lot of evolution in the course, and I have a mantra, and I say, evolution, say it every day. How do I incorporate something about evolution in the course every single time that we meet with my students? Every single day I try to bring into the classroom something about evolution. That's my challenge. We're fighting this constant battle about how to get more evolution into the classroom, more infused with evolution, teaching biology and infusing it with evolution. How you can contribute to the cause of increasing evolution in the biology classroom. How do we convince the unwashed? Well, while we're waiting, I'd like to thank the Academy. I'd like to thank Carnegie Institution and the Johnson Endeavor Foundation. Thank you for putting this all together. Special thanks to Jay Labov and Cynthia Way, who've really done a really good job of pulling this all together. We need to give them a hand to recognize them. It would be NASPPTX. Oh, hey, no, you need to put it on, switch it to my computer because the... So anyway, let's start. I'll try to give you some background of what's happened. The evolution of this meeting is that Judy Scotchmore and I have known each other for a long time. She's known me since when I had hair, which was many, many, many years ago. And we would attend the same meetings, and every time we met, we'd say, hey, we ought to figure out a way that we can get more evolution into biology courses. And we always said that should be what needs to be done. Nothing ever came of that until NESCENT came along, which is the National Evolutionary Synthesis Center in North Carolina. And they provided funds for what was called working groups. And there were 7 of us who developed a working group. Let's see now if I can change slides. That at NESCENT then, there was a working group that we sought and received funding for, and we called it EVAC, Evolution Across the Curriculum. And these individuals got together and we talked about a number of issues. We were interested in developing evolutionary examples and supporting information for every concept in biology. That was where we were thinking we were heading. But it was not intended to develop a curriculum per se, but supporting materials. We were trying to also figure out how to get instructors to use these examples once they were developed, and how to get people to think evolutionarily, and how to get biologists to provide examples to what we would hope would be this rich resource for people at both the undergraduate level and at the high school level. Then, about the same time, a group of us at AIBS sought and received an NSF RCN UBE. This is a Research Coordination Network Undergraduate Biology Education Award. And it was on the introductory biology experience. And what the main goal of that was to articulate a vision for what we would hope could be a perfect introductory biology experience, which would of course include what is going to be taught and how it should be taught. And in these IBP meetings, there are 2 different kinds of meetings that we received funding for. And one of them are the small innovation meetings, which are intended to generate new ideas. You bring together a group of individuals who are smart, who've been working on a particular subject, and who have never talk to each other very regularly. And you bring them in one location and you get them, give them an opportunity to exchange ideas, to talk about what they're doing, what works, what doesn't work. And so the RCN then was to bring together individuals who are interested in the introductory biology experience at the undergraduate level. And so far, we've had a number of different meetings, and I just want to point out a couple of them. One of them, the grant supported the Biology Directors Consortium, and this is a very interesting group that is just emerging, and we have 4 members of that group here today. 3 of them are officers, and I would like them to be recognized: Melissa Michael and Randy Phyllis and Jean Heitz and Deborah Pierce. Those individuals there are members of a consortium of people who direct large introductory biology programs at major institutions like the University of Illinois, the University of Massachusetts, the University of Wisconsin, and San Diego State University of UCLA. I knew it was someplace in the South. All right, sorry. We had, there was a meeting in Wyoming, and there were 30-some people there who belonged to this group. And they represented that individuals who reach 80 to 100,000 students a year in introductory biology. I think that is a very important group, and I hope that we can find a way to work with them. All right, so other meetings here, we met with community college individuals, ASM faculty, and E2, that means evolution and electronic media. How are we going to deliver whatever we develop? I think that's a question that a lot of publishers have. How are you going to deliver curriculum or curriculum support materials? And then the other type of meeting that the IBP supports are the large synthesis meetings, and we're planning one in June of 2012. And so if you're interested in participating, if you have something to say about introductory biology, please contact me. All right, so why evolution across the curriculum? 1, I think it makes sense biologically and pedagogically. And 2, I think it can help thwart this constant assault on the teaching of evolution. I'm from Oklahoma. We are the buckle on the Bible Belt, and I deal with a lot of students on a regular basis in my introductory courses about students who show resistance to teaching and accepting evolution. I think it can help instructors feel more comfortable about teaching evolution in general because we can provide them resources. And this is a way that students can't avoid learning about evolution. And in high schools in my region and across the country, we know what day evolution is going to be taught, and students are oftentimes absent during those days. Even in college, you have a schedule, and students will miss those days. But if you teach evolution every single day, then there's no avoiding evolution. Okay? So, as biologically, Dobzhansky said, nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution. I might offer a corollary. Everything in biology makes more sense in the light of evolution. And so if we really want it to help our students understand biology, then shouldn't we be teaching more evolution? And it seems to me that there's this convergent evolution in terms of a number of major science education reform movements that are happening, and they're saying a lot of the same thing, which is, I think, reassuring. But then again, how do you actually implement what they're saying? But one of the things that they're saying is that use a theme or some major unifying concept. And of course, in biology, evolution is a really good thing. But all of these major science education reform movements are saying use some kind of a major theme, and for biology, evolution is that. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what's happening in the revision of AP Biology in just a couple of minutes here. But so what do I think it means to think evolutionarily? Well, do students or instructors, when they are presented with a new concept in biology for the first time, what kinds of questions do they ask, or do they ask any questions at all, or do your students just simply sit there and copy down the notes from your PowerPoint? But I hope that we can help train students to ask questions, but also to help instructors ask questions that might frame the content in a different way, that the information then can be presented evolutionarily, and that information and evidence for evolution can be presented at the same time that you present the content in your course. So, and we can get into that. And also, I have developed a sort of a Bloom's taxonomy, a list of questions. We can, I'm not going to spend any time on this, but I think that there are different levels of questions that we might need to deal with if we are interested in teaching evolutionarily. Certainly, this is where a lot of people are. We describe what something is and what it does, but we don't take it very much farther than that. I really hope that we can move the community forward and also ask, well, how did evolution play a role in this development of this particular structure or process or whatever. Okay, so I hope that we can move people simply away from simply just saying what it is and what it does, but to some more underlying causes of what's going on there. So how can we teach this way? There is the idea of intentionality that AAC&U has really been promoting. And the idea of intentionality is that faculty and students really understand, first of all, what there are learning objectives, and then both faculty and students understand what those learning objectives are. And then the instructor determines what activities, lessons are going to help the students reach those objectives. And then there is this constant reminder to both the teachers and the students that this is why we are doing this, because it's going to help you reach that objective that we laid out in the beginning of the class. And so in my class, my students know that there's going to be a lot of evolution in the course, and I have a mantra, and I say, evolution, say it every day. And so this is a challenge that I give to myself. How do I incorporate something about evolution in the course every single time that we meet with my students? And there are different ways that you could teach, but let me just show you, of course, when you talk about cells, who doesn't talk about endosymbiosis? When we look at photosynthesis, how do you explain that plants don't use the green part of the visible spectrum? That seems to be a huge mistake, I mean, because it's perfectly good light, so shouldn't plants be black instead of green? How do you explain that? And so we try to figure out what might have happened in terms of the evolutionary past of plants to get to this point here. When we talk about anatomy, we look at the spectrum of cells in different kinds of organisms and talk about the same kind of cells but in different organisms and the evolutionary history involved there. When we talk about ecology, we talk about adaptations. When we talk about artificial selection a lot, and of course emergent diseases. So every single day I try to bring into the classroom something about evolution. That's my challenge, okay? How are we going to do this? Well, I'm part of a group that is working on revising AP Biology. There are other individuals in the crowd who are working on that. Spencer Benson, I don't know if he's here yet, is the chair of the co-chair of that committee, but John Junk and Brad Williamson, who will be here, they've all been involved in various parts of this. But one of the course is now framed in 4 big ideas, and the first one is evolution. The process of evolution drives diversity and unity of life. So how does that manifest itself? And I can give you some kind of a preliminary standing of what's happening here. The AP Biology exam is also being revised at the present time, and we're reviewing questions with the Educational Testing Service. In 2008, you can look at old exams that have been released. In 2008, 12% of the questions on the AP Biology exam had something to do with evolution. I just did a quick analysis of the new exam, not yet released. In the new exam, at least 35% of the questions have something to do with evolution. Now, that was not a target. We didn't say we need to have X number of questions that have something to do with evolution. This is a natural consequence of framing out a course that uses evolution as one of the themes. And so what we do really can have major effects. So what can we do at this meeting? Well, I'm looking at it sort of as an RCN, where you do bring together people who are like-minded, but come from varied backgrounds and with different experiences and with different knowledge. And by putting people together in the same room, I hope that we can forge some collaborations that are new and that can carry us forward past this meeting. In the day and a half, we certainly can't solve all of the problems and issues. People have been working on this for centuries, decades, 150 years at least. So what can we accomplish? Well, I think we are going to hear about what works and what doesn't to help students learn biology with an evolutionary perspective. We need to find out more about what you're doing, what projects you know about that work, and we need to find who are the key players in this promotion of teaching evolution. How do we convince the unwashed? How do we convince those who need some assistance to teach with more evolution in their courses? And how do we do that? And if curricular materials are the answer, who's going to develop them? How are people going to learn about them? How do we know that they're going to work, et cetera, et cetera? So when we're thinking about this, we're going to have a session later on today about what are our targets populations. But I want us to think sort of outside the box, perhaps. We know high school students and teachers are very important. But to me, more important than AP biology students are the non-AP biology students, because those are the individuals who are not going to go into science per se, but they probably will go. But the non-AP people are going to become the general public. And I think it's really important for us to figure out a way how we can target non-AP biology students, the general public. Can we think of different ways to reach the general public? I think that the scientific community has really done a poor job in trying to address the needs for information, for correct information, in the general public as a whole. And as a consequence, we're fighting this constant battle about how to get more evolution into the classroom, if evolution at all gets in there at all. For instance, farmers in my part of the country, farmers understand global change. They understand artificial selection. They understand pesticide resistance, herbicide resistance. Is there a way that we can reach that population by customizing our information or our message to particular groups? How about moms? Would they be, and dads, but I just put moms up there, moms about emergent diseases and in helping their kids be safe from all of the threats of emergent diseases? Politicians, are they just, is that a hopeless cause? College and university faculty, yes, but are the individuals from two-year institutions the same as colleges and universities? I think that there are different constraints that you see at the different in different institutions, and I think that we again need to think about customizing our message and our strategies for individuals that are at these different kinds of institutions. How do we get scientists and biology and science education organizations moving with us in the same direction? I think everybody is in favor in that category there. Everybody is in favor of teaching more evolution in the classroom, but how do we actually get them aboard and to contribute to to the cause. Textbook authors and publishers, a very important group, I think, because especially for those instructors who use the textbook and whatever else comes in the box associated with that textbook, that they will simply use that curriculum straight out of the box. How can we help them deliver information that is correct but more infused with evolution? News people as well. Who else? We're going to discuss who are our targets. So how do we reach them? That's what I hope that we will also talk about, and I'm not going to spend much time on this, but I think that again, the point that I want to make is I think that there are a number of different pressure points in this whole spectrum of issues related to the teaching of biology, of teaching biology and infusing it with evolution. And I think that the message, the strategy, the tactics, the information all needs to be customized for the various groups. I'm also going to make a play for us waging some kind of a public relations campaign. I hear students say, well, and parents, we need to teach the controversy. We need to give equal time to creationism. You know, this evolution is not based on sound science. You've heard that because it's become part of the language that people use whenever evolution is brought up. What is the counter statement to that instructors of biology can use? And how do we get instructors of biology to become more intentional? I don't want this to become just a jingoistic kind of a thing, but I really think that we need to think about kind of an overall strategy of how to reach people and to get them to think about doing these things. And finally, if we are going to be talking about curricular support materials, what are they going to look like? Are there key concepts that everybody should be teaching in a biology course? This is something that is related to the introductory biology project that I'm working on. Is there something, are there concepts that everybody needs to be teaching in their introductory biology course? Developmental biology or design mistakes, that's in quote, transitions, biodiversity, evolutionary medicine. What are those topics that everybody needs to be dealing with? And how are we going to get people to use this stuff? There is already a lot of really good curriculum materials in existence. And again, we don't need to be reinventing the wheel, but we need to find the right wheels for the right vehicle, and everybody's headed in the same direction. So we're going to, over the next couple of days, talk to each other and try to figure out what our next steps are. What do we need to do next? Because we can't solve all the problems in a day and a half. But again, I hope that you will talk with each other and forge new collaborations and think about how you can contribute to the cause of increasing evolution in the biology classroom. Thank you very much. Buckle on the Bible belt.
We need to do this every day of the week.
Then there is this constant reminder to both the teachers and the students.
And just really brainwash people.
How do I incorporate something about evolution in the course every single time that we meet with my students?
We need to do this every day of the week.
My students know that there's going to be a lot of evolution in the course, and I have a mantra, and I say, evolution, say it every day.
And just really brainwash people.
Every single day I try to bring into the classroom something about evolution. That's my challenge.
We need to do this every day of the week.
We're fighting this constant battle about how to get more evolution into the classroom.
And just really brainwash people.
More infused with evolution.
We need to do this every day of the week.
Of teaching biology and infusing it with evolution.
And just really brainwash people.
How you can contribute to the cause of increasing evolution in the biology classroom.
We need to do this every day of the week.
How do we convince the unwashed?
And just really brainwash people.
The unwashed.
We need to to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people.
The unwashed.
We're scientists. We can conceive of anything.
You must learn to distinguish between smut and science.
Science? Ooh, la-di-da.
That is a scientific fact, huh?
Put your trust in the scientific method. Put your faith in the scientific method. I have enough faith in the scientific method.
What were you... was this ever about science?
Those damn scientists, they don't know what they're doing.
That's bad. Melanie, I can't even hear you. It's just noise coming out of an ugly scientist.
The fact that science can account for everything. Science is omnipotent.
Science and evidence don't seem to impact much what people believe.
And science is supposed to have all the answers.
Oh, now, don't speak to me of antiquated notions like a soul. I mean, you're a scientist. Can you measure a soul? Can you measure it? Huh?
Science is full of coincidences.
We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.